Hello everyone, I'm James and this of course is First Web Designer Show. As always, today I have someone very special, our industry peer, Tomas. And I picked Tomas because today's topic is something that only Tomas would be able to talk with such passion and such expertise. And the topic is simply design education, how you can hack the education process. You know, you don't have to always go to university, and there are so many different ways you can learn. And Thomas definitely learned it in his unique ways, and I believe he's going to share his ways, how he learned, how he hacked the system with you, my today's listener. So, hello, Thomas.
Hi, James. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's my pleasure, of course, and I didn't have to think twice when this topic came up. Who am I going to pick? Because you've been around design field, design industry for quite some time, but no one really knows how you learned it. But once I learned about how you learned it, I was like, we got to have him on the show. So perhaps share a little bit about what design means to you and how strongly are you related to design world.
All right. So basically, I started in web design in late 2008, and I had no experience or had no knowledge how to design, but I just wanted to create websites. And the first thing I was just building a blog on WordPress, and I was just curious how to customize it and how to make it work. And basically, I discovered Photoshop tutorials in one of the local Lithuanian design forums, and I was just following these tutorials from these local folks there, and I got so interested in it, and I was trying to learn as much as possible, and just blogging about design and sharing my own tutorials and different resources. And basically, this was just my own self learning process that I was spending hours and hours every day. Instead of gaming, I was dedicating my time to Photoshop and learning design, and I think it just became my passion in the first month. And after 1 month, I think I made first dollars from design, and I was like, I'm gonna become a web designer.
And so along the way of learning all these things, clearly, surely you came up with people who have gone different routes of learning, and I believe that's when you learned that it's not the only way of learning design. Maybe you can share what kind of learning methods you have been exposed to.
Yeah, so basically I started as a self-taught designer, but I was still in high school, and I decided to invest in my own future career, and moved to Denmark to study multimedia design and communication. But at the same time, I was just working as a freelance web designer to support myself in Denmark, and then I was at the same time exposed, as you say, to this formal education and this complete curriculum where they were combining different subjects like interaction, business, communication, and design, like visual part. So on the side, I was just learning by myself and following tutorials and different blogs like Smashing Magazine, Tuts Plus, and First Web Designer, of course. And in school, I didn't really find it very exciting or challenging, because these projects just were fake projects. We were kind of working with real clients, but we never got in touch with executives or the stakeholders. We were just pretending business and pretending web design agencies in school. So I found it very, very much more exciting to work with real clients and actually fail a lot of times, and then don't get paid or get underpaid, and it was much more interesting for me to learn it that way.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just described the two really interesting points in different ways, where it's kind of more theory and as applicable practice as it could be, but then go out there and, bang your head against the wall many times until you, realize that there are different routes. But of course, that there are so many successful web designers and designers who have gone and gotten, a degree, a certificate, and are doing a great job. So we're not saying, no, don't do it. It's just, this is just the way that you found that works for you. So maybe you can now share a little bit of more. What are the differences between the two systems? One, we realized, okay, fake projects, real projects, but there must be more differentiators between the two learning ways, to help today's listener decide which one might be his way.
Yeah, I think it really depends on the end goal. So I was interested in business and startups and entrepreneurship generally in the middle of my education. So my kind of end goal shifted into become self employed or entrepreneur or build products and so on. But if you are getting a degree to work in a huge company, or become a creative director at a huge agency. I think your goals are different. So, for example, if you're learning web design in school, like academy or university, you should really get into one like specific niche. So, if you're focusing on branding or storytelling or user experience, you should really get good at that, because this is why people are going to hire you. But if you are in my case, in my shoes, and you want to become an entrepreneur, design is just a tool for you to make your ideas happen, or to deliver a product or a service. So I think it's very different from the end goal. And if you want to become a freelancer, it's also quite entrepreneurial. So you need to get these marketing skill set and kind of interaction knowledge and so on to understand the big picture of running a business.
Yeah, I think a really important point what you mentioned was entrepreneurship and the business skills, because you mentioned earlier that while you were in Denmark studying, you were already supporting yourself, you were earning money, and not just, doing also different jobs, but actually doing what you love doing, design work.
Yeah.
So I guess that could be one of the worries for today's listener, self-paced learning. When do you decide, right, now I have learned enough that I deserve to charge something? So maybe you can share a little bit more where entrepreneurship, business and design aligns. How do you make a living after all?
Yeah, so I think at the beginning you really need to dedicate enough time to gain the certain skill set and certain knowledge of general design, and have an understanding and creative thinking, and you need to learn how to steal like an artist. So it's not just like you going and reinventing design over and over again. You're actually seeing patterns, and you're trying to apply these design principles to different business objectives. So if they want to raise awareness of the branding, you think of what's the target audience, what kind of colors appeal to that culture, or how you should actually communicate via copywriting or something like that. And if we think about entrepreneurial things, I think you really need to get confidence in yourself. So at the beginning, when you're doing just these tutorials or fake projects for yourself, you don't gain a lot of confidence, because basically you don't have any stakeholders or deadlines or whatever. But once you really start working with people, you start to understand that there are different parts of the freelance, let's say, project that matter more than design. So like transparent and clear communication, and being very, very honest with your client, and really trying to provide value instead of just charging money. So I think if you approach every project and every client as your good friend, and you're trying to help them to make their business grow or make more sales for them, it's totally different. And I think you should really work on self-confidence, which could be just improved by just basically speaking to random people, or putting your work every day online and seeing that actually not that many people care about it, because we have these self-perceptions that we think, oh, all right, I'm gonna put something online and then the whole world will laugh because my work is not good enough. But once you start doing these little comfort zone challenges every day, you gain more confidence, and then you see that actually some people like your work. And once you have this confidence, I think you should just definitely start charging for projects. Never do free projects unless it's non-profit and you just want to honestly help these companies. But if you want to really build your own reputation and provide value, you need to charge money, otherwise you are not valuable.
What really caught my attention was obviously you mentioned words self-confidence as well as comfort zone. Those are the two things that align very closely together with each other. So I know you have a great story, maybe you can share with our today's listener how you test and stretch your own comfort zone. Because by the way, if our today's listener doesn't know or haven't noticed, you, I think, are an introvert. And introverts usually aren't very outgoing, and let's try what my comfort zone is like. So maybe you can share a little bit of encouragement.
Yeah, that's a good point. So I'm very comfortable being, closed in a room and working with design and so on. But once I decided to become an entrepreneur, I knew that there are these challenges and obstacles I need to overcome, like, getting out and actually networking with random people, which is like totally new for me, and I was like, how do I do this? So I started just very small, and I went to Star Weekend. I met a couple of different entrepreneurs, and then once you are hanging out with these people, you get more confidence, and you see that you have a lot of support from them. But other than that, I just started traveling a lot, and once you're traveling, you have a lot of uncertainty, and basically always pushing yourself in outside of your comfort zone. So you don't know where you're gonna sleep next 2 weeks, or where you're gonna live in next 2 months. So you have always this I would say healthy stress, which pushes you forward, but it's not too much, so it doesn't actually overwhelm you, and it doesn't give you anxiety or something like that. And what I was doing while I was living in Asia, so I was traveling for the last year and living in different places. And in Asia, you can just negotiate with all of these guys all the time, because you're a tourist, and usually they want to kind of rip you off because you're a tourist, and they're trying to charge more. And after living for some time in Thailand, and Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, I recognized that these people are just trying to charge much more than they actually need to. So I started negotiating every time. So I go to I rent a scooter, and I say I need a scooter for a month, and I need a discount, and they're like, yeah, why not? And I mean, just asking for a discount, it's pretty new for me, because here in Europe, and especially in Lithuania, once you go to the store and you see the fixed price, you just you accept it, because it's written $40, let's say, or now we have euro, so it's €40, and then you're like, okay, I'm gonna pay €40. But it was really funny after negotiating in Asia, and having a lot of these like perks, and saving a lot of money in Asia. I came back to Lithuania a month ago, and then I went to one restaurant with a group of people, with five friends of mine, and I said I brought 5 people with me. I need a discount, and they were like, no, we don't do discounts here. It's not like a marketplace or something. And at that point, I felt that I'm really pushing myself now, because doing it in Asia, it's a little bit different, because it's like totally new environment, and you kind of used to to totally new people. But here in Lithuania, I still had this perception of people being judgy, and you kind of putting yourself in a joker's place, or like person who is pushing too much. And then they said, maybe you wanted to speak to the owner, and I said, yeah, why not? So I went to the owner, and I said, so as an entrepreneur myself, I told her, if you make a discount for us, you make money. If you don't, the other restaurant is going to make money from us. And she said, so what you gonna do? I said, we gotta eat. She said, 5 people, all right, 10% off. So it was like just trying. And these kind of like little challenges that I started in Asia, negotiating very little by little, really saved me a lot of money. But on the other hand, I gained so much experience and like self-confidence that I can just go to the street and ask a random person to pay for my course, which is not what I'm going to do. But basically, I'm much more confident pushing myself, and pitching to other clients, or actually selling my ideas. And once people or clients see that confidence, it's much easier to close the deal.
Yeah, that's great, and an inspiring example how you force yourself to do it. You just don't wait for an ideal situation. You just throw yourself into a situation, which you then make yourself. You make it into a ideal situation. So that's the business side, the confidence, comfort zone. I'd like to know a little bit more about what would you suggest, what would you recommend to our today's listener regards self-learning, self-paced learning. Where should they start? So many things coming up in design world, especially. It could be confusing. Are they picking the right thing? Will they be in demand after all?
Yeah, let's wait for this coffee, okay? So basically, when I started out in 2008, there was not so much resources, and most of the experts were also like self-taught, and they didn't really have much credibility. So web was still like in in experimentation phase, or whatever it's called. Do you still hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear you. There was a little problem, but I can hear you now.
All right. So basically, in 2008, there were no like Code Academy, or no Treehouse, no first web designer wasn't that big, and basically you had to learn everything by yourself, and you had to kind of find, you know, your way to learn design. And right now we have so many different courses and so many different blogs and individuals you can follow. And I think you just really need to get clear what you want to get. So if it's become independent and, you know, start your own freelancing business, you just start by taking one or the other course. There's no right or wrong way. But I think just fully committing and showing up every day and basically just, you know, dedicating enough time will give you this learning, how we call it, will give you this learning hunger, that you're going to see progress every day, because after showing up every day for a month, you're going to have a huge progress. And for example, if you don't know how to code, you know, a website, and you can just take a Code Academy course or one on Envato, or take, you know, first web designer course, and you will see how much you learned in 1 month. So I think learn things that you find exciting, and don't look at these trends, you know, that developers or other guys are getting paid more, because at the end of the day you want to really do the job that you like. And I learned it the hard way. I was chasing at the beginning, you know, the big bucks, and then you're actually giving up your values and creating products that don't really relate to you. But if you really find this, you know, nice fit of creating product that really relates to your values and has this higher purpose, and then you have a good dollar for it, I think that's the perfect combo. So for learning is the same. Don't learn what your friends learn, or don't learn what I learned, because I'm different, my story is different, and I have different interests, and the same is with you. So focus purely on your passion, and if you don't have it, just try whatever, but try to commit at the beginning, and then after, you know, I think 30 days is enough to see that it's a thing for you or not.
I think also a good story to share would be one of the hands-on, more detailed, the in-depth stories, more regards web design, how you learn web design. You know, you had this story about how you started off. You didn't even have a computer, and in those days, you know, we didn't have such things as Firebug and inspectors and all these things. So maybe you can share a little bit more what self-paced learning is about. So it's not only reading books and watching tutorials. That's again just pure theory. So how do you apply practice and practically learn things?
Yeah, so if you do the whole set of tutorials available in the world, or if you read every book on web design, you're not going to be a web designer. Nobody is going to know you as, you know, the person who read all the books. You need to really create something. So what I was doing in these like early stages of web design, I was just, as you said, you know, there was no Firebug, but to build a website, it's not enough to just know Photoshop. You need to really understand how the code works. So didn't have an understanding about it, but I was just hacking my way. So you went to, I think, like view source or source code of the website, and then you can copy the HTML and CSS. I think they were in different like documents, so I had to figure out how these things link to each other and how do they work. But basically, I was just trying to rip these things from websites, download them to you know, my local machine, and then try to customize them. I didn't even know what the tags mean, what HTML, you know, general structure should be, but I was just experimenting, and I was so curious to break things down to see how they work. And just this experimentation really led me to a general understanding of, you know, how HTML connects to CSS and how CSS can influence HTML. And the same was with different Photoshop tutorials. I was just looking at main principles they were trying to teach in that Photoshop tutorial. So after following one or two web design Photoshop tutorials, you know, from scratch, you get an understanding how a website is built, what is grid, what is like positioning, how to create a button, or how to make a background, and so on. So you have this understanding of basic tools, but then you go to one of the tutorials and you're like, oh wow, this is a nice feature. How did they make it? So you focus just on a little part of the tutorial, and you don't really need to redo the whole tutorial to understand or to gain, you know, that new skill. So I think at the beginning, just stealing like an artist, which is combining things from other people, because everything is a remix. So everything you hear, you see, smell, everything influences your kind of taste for web design. So if you go to like coffee shop to this, I have a lot of noises here, that are just, you know, affecting me subconsciously. And just being in this environment every day and smells and everything will influence me probably to, you know, to like coffee more and to kind of implement coffee or coffee colors subconsciously somehow into my web designs. So I think just having this and developing this taste for web design and high quality products. So like, you know, getting inspiration from different magazines or print posters or something that is really like how to say, very inspiring for you, or like movies or special effects. Just try to really curate these things and feed good things so you can produce good things. This,
yeah, okay. No, it makes sense. Yeah, I like the what you use, the analogy from the book. You know, stealing like an artist, because it is the truth. You know. As much as we want some original stuff in the world, you know, original stuff a lot of times comes up, you know, when you mix things together, that people are afraid to mix together. But one more thing I'd like you to talk about a little bit is personally you. What's next for you? Maybe that could be a little inspiration for our today's guest, if he hears that, you know, you're not stopping, you are heading somewhere, and so we would like to find out where it is that you're heading.
I find, you know, just digital design industry very, very exciting, and I personally cannot keep it up with it. You know, there are wearables coming, the Internet of Things, and many, many different design projects are coming out. And personally, I want to really empower people to change their lifestyles with design, because design and blogging and, you know, entrepreneurship, all of this like really like changed my life, and I read design my own lifestyle to become a digital nomad, you know, location independent. I can travel wherever I want, and I can live in many places, and I can meet new people and, you know, impact other lifestyles. So my plan for probably like 2 or 3 years is to empower and inspire, you know, 1 million people to change their lifestyles with my design education or books or some products. So I really want to hack the process, and I made a lot of mistakes throughout the way. I've been in web design since like 2008 and 9, and I've been designing for mobile and web, and I learned so many different mistakes, and, you know, I made a lot of different case studies, and I want to really analyze what works and what doesn't. So my plan is to apply 80-20 rule, or it's 20-80, whichever is the right one. I really want to focus on 20% of, you know, the thing that produces 80% of results. So if you put 20% of effort, you get the most results out of that. So instead of becoming a designer who knows what kerning is, what tracking is, or what kind of you know, typefaces you should use, I really want to give people that understanding that design is just a part of your own lifestyle. So if you're becoming an entrepreneur, it's just a tool for you to visualize the thing, you know, to put your vision into action and into this tangible piece, so other people can understand. So you really need to understand what you're serving, what design is, you know, helping to achieve you, and whether it's making money, you know, raising awareness, or having an impact on other people. I really want to get down to the essentials and learn it myself at the beginning, probably, to really understand it, and then once I have a good understanding of that, I want to give it back to people, because I feel responsibility for other people who are not that fortunate, you know, to afford these expensive formal education courses, or even taking online courses sometimes can be expensive. So I'm setting up this Entrepreneur Academy, and I have the first course on Udemy ready, which is learn web design and start your freelance web design business. And there I tried to, you know, kind of what's the word? Where I tried to put 5 years into 4 hours. How do you call the conduct? No, not conduct.
Compress.
Yes, compress, basically. Compress 5 years of experience and all the lessons I learned, and basically focus on really things that really show that they are effective for me, so other people can replicate, you know, the success, or replicate kind of results that I got from typography, or using specific colors, or using specific templates. And it's not about becoming a web designer who understands, you know, everything, but it's becoming a web designer who's able to start freelancing and make his own money. So it's kind of building this kind of person who is able to understand business, communication, marketing, and at the same time design the product.
So in short, I think it would be safe to say you are trying to create designers into Terminators? Okay, so now I think you can actually share now where people can get in touch with you. This place you created for desperate entrepreneurs, you mentioned already, academy, the course. Give them the path. Where shall they head to?
So you can find me on Twitter. I'm pretty active on Twitter, and I'm thinking of doing some periscoping soon. So Q&A, you know, on design, learning, or traveling, or setting up your freelance business, whatever. So I'm pretty active on Twitter. Twitter.com/Tomas without an H, Lau. And then you can find me as well on Despreneur.com, which is not desperate entrepreneur, but design entrepreneur. And I have a special deal for first web designer readers. So you can get the course for just $10, which is probably like 80% off of the $50 price. So if you go to Despreneur.com/firstwebdesigner, you can get it for just $10. And of course, if you are not happy with it, there's money back included. So,
nice, that's great. And of course, thanks a lot for correcting me. I was all this time thinking that it's desperate entrepreneur, but it's design entrepreneur.
Well, the thing is that it's memorable, so people really kind of, you know, have different perception of it. And if it's desperate entrepreneur or design entrepreneur, it's at the beginning the same, desperate entrepreneur, and then it becomes design entrepreneur thing. Yeah.
Okay, so and you mentioned also Periscope, you know, that you're planning to be on Periscope, you know. If you had no idea that you've been on Periscope right now, say hello to people. Just kidding.
Wow, this is incredible.
No, but I've been thinking of periscoping live the podcast where people could ask questions and see you answer live. So it's a community building, but people are doing a great work. So, like you said, you know, technology is evolving so crazy. You can't keep up with it, but yet you're still trying to. So that's a great way. All right, my friend, I have to say massive thank you, and hopefully we're gonna see you on our podcast again, whether it's through Periscope or through podcast, videocast, who knows, but hopefully we'll see you again. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much for having me.